We are here. Do you notice that I didn't say, you are here? You know, when I was a hotel concierge, I had tens of thousands of opportunities to say, we are here, like to put an X on a map and tell someone that we were here. And I always chose that. I always chose to say we and not you, because I wanted to remember that we were there together, that we were in this together. And right this minute, we are here. We're here. We're in this together. And the question really is, though, while we're here, are we going to take advantage of the dozens of opportunities that we're going to have to connect with each other, or are we simply going to let the moment pass? Sawabona. Remember in the movie Avatar, when Jake and Neytiri put their tails together and sparks flew, and they looked at each other and they said, I see you. Well, I got a jolt, because that alien custom demonstrated the most powerful human lesson, the unity of our humanity. Well, it would seem that James Cameron was inspired by the African philosophical worldview called Ubuntu, where the word sawabona means, I see you. Now, the response to sawabona is the word sikona. And what sikona means, it totally expands the concept, because sikona means, because you see me, therefore I exist. If you do not see me, I do not exist. I am because you are. Whoa, I thought, this really beats the hell out of the way we greet each other, doesn't it? Hi, how are you? Yeah, have a nice day. Well, I think that by expressing ourselves in this banal way, that we actually miss the opportunity to connect. Now, when people come here from other cultures, have you ever noticed how they feel about this meaningless greeting? They're completely baffled by it. Now, I once had a Russian room service waiter that I know was grappling with this, because just as he was leaving my room, he said, he's about to leave the room, and he says, have a day. And I said, okay, I will. Thank you. You too. You know, I really think that we need to awaken ourselves to the potential that we actually have to connect in everyday, ordinary moments. And connecting can be as simple as just taking a moment and looking up from your smartphone, to stop and to open up a door for someone, to smile, to say thank you, to acknowledge someone. Because just by acknowledging someone, you could actually take someone who is a completely anonymous, just the anonymous bathroom attendant, and turn them into someone who is seen and visible. And by doing that, it turns out that it's really good for us. It turns out that if we do any of those things, that it raises our energetic vibration, and that it uplifts everyone involved. And there's even some science behind this. Do you know that in every positive interaction that we have, a chemical called oxytocin, which is also known as the love hormone, is produced? Now, oxytocin is most often prevalent during breastfeeding and lovemaking, and there is an increased spike in oxytocin during orgasm. So I would go as far as to say that you could offer an increased spike in oxytocin simply by acknowledging people. Simple, right? Easy? Not always. You know, I'm a professional speaker, and I connect for a living, and I love connecting with people, but there are days that even I have armor on, and my blinders are in place, and my force field is up. And I have to make a conscious choice to connect and communicate, because most of the time it is so much easier just to stay in your own agenda. I can remember a time when I was a hotel concierge where we were so busy that I just thought, okay, if I just put my head down, no one will notice, right? And I just don't have to talk to anybody, just give me 5 minutes. when I felt them. I just felt them. I knew they were there. I knew that there was a person there. I knew I had to look up. I didn't want to. I'm like, oh, go away. But I had to. It's my job, so I looked up. And right there, standing in front of me, was this guy, okay? He's this little guy, and he's wearing a periwinkle blue suit. He's wearing a royal blue shirt, a turquoise tie, and he has a powder blue hanky in his pocket. And it brought me back. It totally brought me back to a moment when I was a little girl. And I could just hear my daddy singing to me. And he was singing this song, and it went, I love you, said the little blue man. I love you to bits. I love you, he loved me, said the little blue man, and scared me right out of my wits. And there he was, the little blue man from my childhood. And the lyrics to that song totally inspired me to say, without thinking, I just said, oh, I love your suit. And he smiled. And because I was able to access this positive memory of my father, I was able to connect with this stranger by connecting to a piece of myself. Now, we've all heard this expression, right? Snap out of it, right? You've all heard that, snap out of it. Well, I think the idea of accessing the synergy that we have with people in ordinary moments, that what we need to learn to do is to just snap into it. Snap into our humanity. Snap into our unity. And you might be thinking, oh, great, well, how am I supposed to just snap into it? Well, the first thing that I would suggest is that we stay open. Because I really learned the art and power of connecting from someone that I had no interest in ever connecting with. It was this guy who works at a funky fruit stand that I used to drive by every time that I would go home. I mean, a really funky fruit stand right off the freeway. I would always drive by, and I would kind of see this guy out of the corner of my eye, and I would think, he is so strange looking. I am so not buying fruit from him. I'm not buying anything from him. Certainly not food. And I would just drive by. But one day, I was in a hurry, and so my convenience took some precedence over my judgment, and I pulled in. But this day, it was a really hot day. So this kind of strange guy wasn't wearing a shirt. And I got to see that on his chest, he had tattooed a giant artichoke. And I'm like, okay. On his back, he had a tattoo of a winter melon. And right here, on his left arm, he had a tattoo of a zucchini. And I am thinking, this guy is seriously into fruits and vegetables. So I go ahead, I run my errand, and when he's ringing me up in the process, I start talking to him, and I tell him that my favorite fruits are nectarines, and that's it. And I don't even think about him again, and I leave. Well, about 3 weeks later, I just decided to go there again. This time he's wearing a shirt. His hair is the color of pippin apples, but the weirdest thing happened, because I was not out of my car when this admittedly strange fruit guy had gone over to the fruit stand and grabbed a nectarine. And he came running towards me, holding up this nectarine. He's screaming at the top of his lungs, "Killer nectarines! We got killer nectarines here today!" And I'm, wow, man, who are you? How come you do your job like this? What's in your head? What do you think about when you go to work? And I'm so fascinated by this that on the spur of the moment, I invited him out to dinner. And he looks at me and he says, "Excuse me, but you want to take me to dinner?" I said, "I do, because I want to talk about customer service." He's like, "Okay." So he's so nice that when the dinner date came, he had dyed his hair black, which I was delighted by, but I asked him those exact questions that were in my head that day, and I went, "Kevin, what's your story? I know you don't own the fruit stand. What do you think about when you go to work? How come you do your job the way you do it?" And he told me this that night. He said, "You know, Holly, every day when I get up," he said, "I put on my black motorcycle leathers." He said, "I hop on to my Harley Davidson, and I drive myself over the Golden Gate Bridge. And all the way there, I just tell myself over and over, you know, Kevin, you can make a difference today. You can make a difference in someone's life today. He believes this. Selling fruit. See, there are some tricks to this. I once had a colleague who said that all you really had to do if you wanted to connect with people was repeat over and over in your head, I receive your love. I receive your love. I receive your love. Now, we don't want you to walk up to people and say, hello, I receive your love. They'll think you're crazy. But if you just think it, what happens is people will respond to you. So I thought, well, that's a pretty easy thing to do. So I was trying it all the time. I love to do it like in the grocery store. It's like I'm waiting in line and I'm beaming at the cashier. I receive your love. And so by the time we get up to the cashier, everybody's smiling, right? And I promise you it even worked at the DMV, if you can believe that. So I'm right in the midst of doing this, and I think it's a really great idea. And I'm on an airplane, and I'm going from Denver to San Francisco, and I'm sitting in the aisle seat. When all of a sudden, I'm reading and minding my own business, all of a sudden I hear this. Man, I got the middle seat. So I look up. Up. And there was this menacing creature standing in the aisle about to sit in the middle seat next to me. He's like got skin-tight jeans on with a great big gash in him and a big pick in his hair. And I'm going, I receive your love. I receive your love. And so he comes and he sits next to me and he leans in really close. And he says, what do you do? Well, I wanted to receive his love, but I actually didn't really want to talk to him. So I said, I'm a professional speaker. And I went back to reading. But then I made a choice. And I looked at him and I said, what do you do? And he said, I'm a cage fighter. At that time, I had never heard of mixed martial arts. And I said, what? You fight in a cage? I said, is it scary? And he so wanted to freak me out that he got right in my face, nose to nose, and he hissed at me and he went, scary, boo. This annoyed me. So I got right back up in his face and I went, boo yourself. Well, this threw him off. So he says to me, I wasn't always a fighter. I've had other jobs. I said, great, like what? And he said, I used to be a hotel concierge. And although surprised, I did say, oh, did you read my textbook on the concierge? And he said, no, it's probably why I got fired. I said, well, probably not. Well, we talked all the way home. And he went and helped me with my luggage. And he walked me outside and he waited in line with me to get the taxi. And he opened the door of the taxi and we were high-fiving, right? I'm like, high-fiving. I'm like, down with the cage fighter. And as the cab sped away, I sat there thinking, what just happened? Whoa. And I realized we are all connected. If we'll just open up our hearts with a willingness to actually see each other. Archbishop Desmond Tutu puts it like this. He says, you can't be human all by yourself. Now, see, connecting really is the essence of being human. We all really can just snap into it because the possibility for connection exists in everyday moments with the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker, the bridge toll taker, the person sitting next to you. We are in this together. We are here. Thank you.